Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Brigadier General Charles G. Schiroti, the Commanding General of 2nd Marine Logistics Group, welcome to the National Museum of the Marine Corps and the retirement ceremony in honor of Col Brian J. McGuire, who is retiring after 32 years of honorable and faithful service to the United States Marine Corps and our nation. Please rise for the arrival of the official party, honors to Brigadier General Schiroti, the national anthem, and the invocation. Honor to Brigadier General Schiroti. The invocation will now be given by Chaplain Curtis Dwyer.
I invite you to join me in prayer. Let us pray. Father, our gathering this afternoon is a chance to reflect on the many good things you have prepared for us, things of which we could not even have dreamed. We can never know how you want to bless us until we walk forward in faith. Be with us, Lord, and let this ceremony be a fitting occasion to mark the retirement of Colonel McGuire, so that by reflecting on the time since that day he arrived at Parris Island in 1983, and on all the unmistakable goodness you have shown to him in the past, we would all here present draw confidence and strength as we look to the future. We ask this in your most holy name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Presiding over today's ceremony is Brigadier General Charles G. Schiroti, the Commanding General of the 2nd Marine Logistics Group.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you. I'm indeed honored and privileged to be here to, I guess, turn the chapter for Brian here. Very close and dear friend of mine. As I was walking up here, well, before I go there, let me just stop for a second. I really want to acknowledge the folks here that Brian's asked me to point out. I don't want to get too far into my speech and then have to come back and capture them. But first of all, Diane, Brian's mother-in-law. I got that right? Stepmother? Yeah, that's right. You don't have mother-in-laws. We do in Italy, but we don't have them here. Mothers, Jerry's and Frank, and niece and nephew, Michael and Casey, and sister-in-law, Lisa. Welcome and thank you for being here. It's been. I know it's been a long journey for you guys supporting Brian in his long trek to this point, and I know that he's extremely thankful for you being here supporting him today. probably as great as fortune that he was my roommate. And, I think that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. So, here we go, that's right. So, still have some debts we're going to talk about. But after a while there, Brian got called up, and I was pretty envious, and I think a lot of the other folks were envious. Brian got called up and was asked to go out and support the 24th now as part of Operation Earnest Will, providing air defense on the gas oil platform and the Persian Gulf. And he went out, and I was very envious because as a young lieutenant, I wanted to go out too. But I guess I hadn't risen to that level of excellence as a standard gunner yet, so I didn't call for it. But the good thing was is that Brian left behind his minivan and his dive gear. So for 6 months, I took really good care of it. And I think the minivan, I think he had to junk it when he got back. And Ken and I believe, spent many a nights sleeping in the back of that thing after a night of Camp Shields. He then left first lab battalion and went on to second LAM. For those of you who don't know, that was the old HOC system over at Yuma, Arizona. He did some time there and then he transitioned. He went to Max 24. He went to 4th Lab Battalion. He went on to, he was a member of the U.S. military decathlon team. I can't even say that. Where he bronzed in international competition. And this is Brian. This is after he transitioned out of the active component into the reserves. And so again, Brian, when we were together, 1st Lab Battalion was a PT stud. He was also about 6'1", and he had more hair than I have right now. And in fact, when I saw him again in 2008, the first time after many years, he came over to O'Malley and he spent some time with us. I didn't even recognize Mr. Clean. He dropped about 2 feet, and he had that thing going on. assistant director for the women's volleyball team. contributed to a legacy through his actions. And I'll tell you, last week when I was knee deep in a mud pile, part of my combat fitness test, I was thinking about Brian. I gotta tell you, I picked up Lance Corporal lunch bucket, and I had him over my shoulder, you know, and I just said, I need Brian. There's got to be a cutoff at about 42 years old. I'm 43. There's got to be a cutoff at about 42 years old, and where you no longer have to lift people. But Brian's contributions are in the way of not only what he's done in the air command control community, but in the physical fitness, really challenging us to maintain our standards, to maintain that standard so that when our nation calls us, we are ready. Not least ready, but we are ready to go. That's our Brian. Brian came over to Okinawa in 2008. He challenged the original commander at the time. He challenged the regiment to really establish the foundation for combat physical fitness test. And at that time, we thought, okay, Brian's just up to his physical fitness. I'll tell you, it is ingrained in the culture of the United States Marines to combat physical fitness test. Brian McGuire. So you, my friend, thank you very much. You have done a fantastic job. It's fitting that you started here where so many young lieutenants raise their right hands and they take the oath of office. And in the oath of office, there's some words in there that resonate with me, and I know resonate with all of you who serve this great country and this great Corps of ours. That I will well and faithfully discharge the duty of the office in which I'm about to enter. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that this Marine has done just that. So thank you for your service, thank you for your continued friendship. I'm not going to pay for that minivan after all this. Sir, thank you for letting me have the honor of retiring.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the Legion of Merit Award to Colonel McGuire and reading of his retirement orders. Attention to orders. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Legion of Merit to Colonel Brian J. McGuire, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in the following citation. For exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service as political military planner, Joint Staff, J5, Pentagon from March 2013 to December 2015. His superior commitment to excellence and professionalism as an individual mobilization augmentee significantly enhanced the ability of J5 Africa to provide timely and valuable military advice to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. During this period, he represented the J5 during numerous interagency planning committee meetings where he provided valuable inputs to ensure the Department of Defense's responses to volatile, uncertain, and complex situations in Africa enhance the overall approach of the United States government in this strategic area. He was also the J5 lead for the Africa Leaders Summit in 2014, where his development of a variety of political military options contributed to the Security Governance Initiative, a leading tangible outcome of the summit. In the numerous emergent situations that occurred in the continent during this turbulent time, to include the Ebola crisis, proliferation of violent extremist groups, unrest in Burkina Faso, and other locations, he provided tireless support in ensuring options provided to the Joint Staff leadership were deliberately considered and articulated. The superior performance of duties as typified above highlight the culmination of over 32 years of honorable and dedicated Marine Corps service. Colonel McGuire's dynamic direction, keen judgment, and loyal devotion to duty reflected great credit upon him and were in keeping of the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. For the President, Robert B. Neller, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that Colonel Brian J. McGuire, having served faithfully and honorably, will retire from the United States Marine Corps Reserve on the first day of January 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. From the President of the United States, Certificate of Appreciation for service in the Armed Forces of the United States, Colonel Brian J. McGuire, USMCR. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow in your footsteps, and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you for happiness and the success of the future. Signed, Barack H. Obama, Commander-in-Chief. From the Delaware House of Representatives. Be it hereby known to all that the House of Representatives acknowledges Colonel Brian J. McGuire on the occasion of his retirement from United States Marine Corps Reserve. We commend this outstanding individual for his many years of military service. He began his career on March 9th, 1983, and will retire January 1st, 2016. He has served 2 tours in the Middle East during Operation Earnest Will and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Colonel McGuire was a battery commander from 1993 to 2007, officer in charge of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Defense Reserve Detachment at the Pentagon from 2010 to 2013. Bronze medalist in the 1993 Inter-Allied Confederation of Reserve Officers, and the lead for the development and implementation of the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test and the Sports Medicine and Injury Prevention Program. He has received many awards and commendations for his remarkable military accomplishments. We bestow our best wishes for an enjoyable retirement. The Delaware House of Representatives extends its sincere congratulations and directs this tribute be issued on the 4th day of December 2015. Signed, Peter Schwarzkopf, Speaker of the House. Representatives Lyndon Urick, sponsor. From the Commandant of the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps has been your occupation and family for many years past, and I am certain these memories, interests, and the future of the Corps will remain with you forever. Many desire to attain your accomplished goals, but few can compare to you. You have clearly demonstrated the exceptional leadership qualities and professional contributions we seek of our senior Marines. We are proud, as you must be, of your successful career. As a teacher to young Marines, a source of wise counsel, and as an example of those soldierly virtues we so admire, you have made a mark on the Corps that will remain long after you have left our active ranks. There are many young Marines you have influenced who will carry on in the same fine tradition that has always characterized the United States Marine Corps. You have my best wishes for good health and continued success in the years ahead. Semper Fidelis, Robert B. Neller, General, U.S. Marine Corps, Commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps. Brigadier General Chiroti is presenting Colonel McGuire with the American flag. It is a universal custom to display the flag only from sunrise to sunset on buildings and on stationary flagstaffs in the open. The national ensign is flown constantly at the United States Marine Corps War Memorial in Arlington, Virginia. The Marine Corps War Memorial stands as a symbol of America's esteem for the honored dead of the U.S. Marine Corps. While the statue depicts one of the most famous incidents of World War II, the memorial is dedicated to all Marines who have given their lives in the service of the United States since 1775. The United States flag accompanying this certificate was raised and lowered from United States Marine Corps War Memorial on 6 November 2015 in honor of your dedicated and faithful service to United States Marine Corps. Signed, Andrew M. Reagan, Colonel, U.S. Marine Corps, Commanding Officer, Headquarters and Service Battalion, Headquarters, Henderson Hall.
All right, it's not for my remarks, but you've heard the talents of the Colonial Forge High School Eagle String Quartet a little bit. You're going to hear a little bit more in this trip.
pleasure speaking.
And where are my remarks? Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming today, sir. Thank you. General Renford, thank you, sir, for coming. Clearly, I am on the undercard today. Obviously, First Chaplain, thank you very much for the fine invocation. General, sir, we know you're very busy. We get our money's worth out of general officers, and we're lucky to have you here. When that guy you were talking about gets here, please let me know, okay? But thank you for the kind words. And by this time, you've heard the talents of the Colonial Forge High School String Quartet. I'd like to introduce them. First, led by Mrs. Deborah Tripp. On first violin is Miss Angela Pack. Second violin is Renee Liu. On the viola is Miss Hannah Schilke. And on the cello is Mr. Jacob Dean. Let's get... Okay. Okay, my main goal today is to stop talking before you stop listening, but I have to talk a bit about the music first. The first song you heard was Ode to Joy by Beethoven. The third one you heard was Summon the Heroes by the great composer John Williams. And that special meaning to me was the anthem of the 1996 Olympic Games. And the title is very appropriate for the setting that we're in today, Summon the Heroes. The fourth song was Stars and Stripes Forever. What sort of ceremony would be complete without something from the March King, Colonel Strauss, John Philip Sousa? Now, the second song you might have picked up was Every Breath You Take by the Police. Now, the song doesn't have any special meaning for me. I like Police, I like the Sting, but they're not on my top of the list of my favorite bands. However, it was at the top of the charts in August of 1983 when I graduated boot camp. Now, there was another song that we were considering that that coincided with the oath of enlistment for me in March of 1983. However, I talked with the museum, and we didn't think it was a good idea to play it because of safety reasons. The song was Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, and we were afraid if it was played, the crowd would rise up, start moonwalking, and destroy these beautiful floors. So we decided against it. A week and a day after Thanksgiving, I'm going to extend it because I have a couple people to thank. Before I do, I'm going to give you a number to think about. The number is 11,831. We're going to get back to that. But over the years, as I've looked back, I've become much more appreciative of the head start that I got before I entered the Marine Corps. Now, my career technically began, Kevin Selesky, when I walked into the Blue Hun Mall. The recruiter started talking and I started writing, I started signing. Now, for those that know me or looked at the program, you'll know that my career started a little bit before that. I was born at Camp Pendleton, for goodness sake. My father was a retired 20-year Marine. I wish that both he and my mother could be here today. My upbringing included some very good teachers and very good coaches that all of us had when we were coming up. My head start continued at Salisbury University, where if you work one camp for Pat Lamboni, where are you, sir? If you work one camp for Pat, you learn to know what teamwork is. And he's a mentor still after all these years. I can't really mention that Parris Island without getting to Parris Island moment. I'd like to thank Ann Curry and also Tim Bockelman for being here. Tim's been down there for 25 years. Ann worked there for 10. But the first Marine I'd like to thank is my senior drill instructor, who, in between my many trips to the quarterdeck, saw to it that I might give seeking a commission some thought. I did, and I'm eternally grateful for that in my Parris Island experience. How about that? The first large group of Marines I'd like to thank are all the junior enlisted Marines I worked with over the years. Jared Buchanan, where are you? Okay, he just left the Marine Corps after 4 honorable years of service and represents that group that I work with. You might know that we're the youngest of the forces, and those that come to us in their earlier parts of their lives are our treasure, no doubt about it. Sergeant Major Monson, you represent all the senior enlisted and staff NCOs that I worked with over the years. I wasn't always as quick on the uptake as I should have been, but their counsel is wise, and like many lessons we learn, their lessons don't ring true until much later. To the fellow officers I work with, thank you also. We entered at the end of the Cold War and at the dawn of a new age of the a scourge of terrorism that we're fighting today. We had some good times, some bad ones, but they were all memorable and all enriching. I appreciate very much who I worked for, who gave me some fantastic opportunities. Then Lieutenant Colonel Leon Papa and Steve Richardson, they're sort of on the brackets here, gave me some very outstanding opportunities that resulted through a lot of teamwork and some very worthwhile programs. It's good to see some of TCOM's athletic trainers. Raise your hands, please, that are here that represent the program that Steve, Tim Blue, and we got started. Early on in my career, I worked for some great officers like Vince Du Bois and Dale Davis. I owe a great deal of thanks to them. Also, my fellow joint warriors from the J5 are here today. I'd like to make special mention of Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Reynolds. You know the part you played in this. I appreciate your help. Special thanks go to my employers and my coworkers over the years. Some are right here. Certainly there are laws that protect reservists, but without their help, I couldn't have been the citizen Marine that I was. And because when you're gone on AT, you know, for 2 weeks, when you're on drill, or even for extended periods, somebody has to pick you up. There's an info paper to write, there's a request for information to answer, a game to be covered, you name it. So I'm very thankful. I have some friends inside and outside the Marine Corps who are here today that traveled some very long distances, and I want to thank them. First, Roger Strauss, retired Lieutenant Colonel. He's here from California. We served, we're together at PLC Junior, PLC Senior with Captain Terry Harrigan. There you are, sir. Roger's here with his son, Lieutenant Will Strauss, who's soon to graduate the TBS. Firefighter Luke McCarthy, where are you? He's from the Clark County Fire Department in Las Vegas. He and Dan McGee are here from my Atlanta days, and I'm glad that they're here. Claudia Terlizzi is here from New York City and was part of the 1996 games experience with me. Liz Wheeler's from Rockville. That might as well be on the other side of the moon with the traffic that we have, but we're glad that you're here. The General mentioned Ken and Mary from Kentucky. We had some great times in Okinawa, and I'm glad that they're here. Ken said he's happy to be here, but I think he's just as happy that Kentucky football season is over and the Wildcats are back on the hard court. Although they lost last night, but they'll get back up there. Captain Doug Nashville and Pete Ott, raise your hand, please. They are great friends from the Salisbury days. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to say a whole lot because they signed non-disclosure agreements before they came in. There's a lot of people in the crowd looking at it. They're in that category, including Kevin Selesky from my Caesar Rodney days. Guys, thanks for coming. My family's here from Connecticut, Delaware, and Maryland. Thank you for being here. You've been a great source of support over the years. I love you, and I'm glad that you're here. The General mentioned Diane's my champion. She's her own little Marine Corps league personified, and I'm lucky to have her champion. All right, back to the number 11,831. That's the number of days that when it all ends for me on January 1st of 16, that I will have spent in the active reserve component. But it would have been the honor of a lifetime to have spent one of those days around what you see here. It's my Olympic gold medal, my Super Bowl ring, and I'm just entirely thankful for the experience. And I'll end where I began by saying thank you for coming and being part of my journey. So thank you very much. Okay.
Help me pick him up. One more.
Ladies and gentlemen, flowers are now being presented to Colonel McGuire's stepmother, Mrs. Diane McGuire, his sister-in-law, Lisa McGuire, and niece, Casey McGuire, in appreciation of their support throughout the years. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for Anchors Away in the Marines hymn.
you.